Day, March 12th. It is 7 p.m. and this is a meeting of the Bolton Select Board. Let's see, we are going to start out tonight. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind here. So we have Kelly here. Our first agenda item is an update from the library with our library director, Kelly Collins.
Hooray. I don't want to say too much because I think the reason that we're here is to introduce our youth services staff. Last year we lost our children's librarian in January, and then with the uncertainty around the override coming, it gave us a chance to kind of take a step back and rethink how we perform, how we deliver children's services. And as a result, Karen Reed, who has worked for the town for 13 years. Anyway, today's her anniversary date. Agreed to step up and to be our new youth services specialist. And then, well, long story short, eventually we hired Carlina to be our specialist for young children, for babies and young children. So maybe they want to say a little bit about what they've been working on.
Yeah, so basically the way we split the role is that I do ages 8 to 18. We found that because we have so many toddlers and preschool and before school kids coming in, we really needed someone that specialized in early childhood, which is what we created the position. Carlina started the day that wasn't the day we closed for the heat, but the day we closed. The staff were here, we turned the water back on, but we were closed. That was her first day. And so we've had time to do lots of planning for programs, and she can talk to you for a minute about what she's been doing. So yeah. Carlina.
Working on kind of bringing people in to revamp story time, have it be a little more movement friendly for young kids is that tends to be something more looked for, more music, more active story times, and really kind of rethinking the play area to make sure that it's really open and inviting with a new pretend play area, redoing the sensory tables so they're open more times, so there's more spaces for families to come together and gather, and also cover the bases of like different ages. So if you have a baby and a toddler, a baby and a preschooler, they have different things to do at the library all at the same time. Yeah.
And Carlina came to us from Shrewsbury, and before that she was in Northborough. So she has lots of experience to bring to Bolton.
Well, Kelly, thank you for the update. Karen, happy anniversary, and thank you for longevity with the town. And Carolina, welcome. I'm sorry you arrived at such an unsettled time, but I think it probably gave you an opportunity to really set things the way you'd like. So welcome, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Anyone else from the board?
No, just congrats, Karen, on the anniversary, and really nice to meet you, Carlina.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes, same.
Okay, thank you all.
Bye.
All right, our next agenda item is our annual town meeting warrant review. We are cross-posted with advisory, but I am not sure that I see anybody from advisory here.
We have Hannah.
Oh, okay, we have Hannah. But I don't think you have a quorum, so I don't think you guys need to call to order. We also have our town moderator, Doug Story, and we have town council, Brian Falk. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Marie to just walk us through, and the board can chime in with questions for Brian, and Hannah, you as well, and we'll just go from there.
For your preference to the board, would you like to see the warrant as I'm walking through it, or would you prefer, having had it in the packet, to not see it right up in front of you at the moment?
My preference would be to see it. It's a little easier that way for me, and maybe for people watching at home as well.
Okay. Awesome. Just as an overview, the warrant is substantively more advanced than had been in the packet during the last meeting. This is not the meeting, though, where the board will be voting and making their recommendation. There are still some open areas. At this time, what you're seeing tonight has been reviewed by Brian at Myrick, and taking it from the top, our traditional Article 1 of acceptance of annual reports. No change there. Article 2, unpaid bills, the dollar amount has shifted slightly. This would be $20,383.37 coming from our certified free cash of fiscal 25.
Can I ask a question? What is Whitewater?
Whitewater is our operating engineering firm for the water system.
Okay, thanks.
Marie, is there a reason that they had so many kind of late submissions this year? Do you know? Or
I'm
not,
turning
maybe,
to
do you know?
Jenny as the expert who's been working with Leslie at the DPW.
I actually don't know why the Public Works had so many late invoices. I think some of it might have been some late receipts. I presume most of them were that case. But because the invoices are submitted on a department level, I don't have awareness of why they're late. I just gathered them because they were late.
Fair enough. I think we probably should be prepared at town meeting to answer that question, because I think that this is a little bit larger than what we normally see, and especially coming from one vendor.
And I'm not sure the $5,000 bill is correct. I know Leslie was looking into part of that as Neshoba Regional's portion. So I just want to make sure that number is.
It is correct.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
Article 3 is the replenishment of the reserve fund, and the amount that is in there currently is to cover the 51K that the advisory committee had voted to, expend for the temporary disinfection. I'm saying this with a caveat. I'd been communicating with the advisory chair regarding our snow and ice deficit and different approaches to solve that. My understanding is that next Tuesday at advisory, there's going to be an open discussion as to whether this amount should be increased, whether they needed to backfill for the 51K, given how legal bills are trending, or, and initially the implication had been that they could potentially even pass over. I don't believe that's possible. But this dollar amount may shift depending on advisory's discussion Tuesday. It would be a simple majority and it would be replenished. And this is the fiscal 26 reserve fund with our certified free cash of 25.
I did have one comment, which is it looks like the first number that's highlighted, the 51,895, is different than the last number that's highlighted of 51,595. Like right at the tippy top and the
I
very
see.
bottom.
Yep. I think I opened the PDF version, so I can't make that change, but I will make it on this end. Thank you. No, I'm not in the PDF version. All right, I'll make a note.
Thanks, Jenny. All right, any other questions from the board or from advisory on that?
All right. Article 4 is backfilling the local improvements line that had been expended, the fiscal 26 local improvements line for, the expense was for the temporary disinfection system. In my conversations with the DPW director today, his interest is, in effect, setting the table so that residents are aware this money would be expended on the catch basin cleaning, striping, and patching. I proposed potentially that the DPW could go to the reserve fund and seek a transfer. The constraint is he expended 71,000 due to the DEP issue. It was unexpected. It was unforeseen, right? But the request here is to allow him to meet his contractual obligations without reducing the scope. Not unexpected, not unforeseen. So although it might seem smoother to just cut Article 4 and increase the reserve fund, that again is a discussion for advisory.
Okay,
Maria, is this going to give him enough time to do this work?
He will need to know whether we're putting it forward as an article as configured. If
Okay.
not, he's going to contact his vendors. See if he can reduce the scope. His first priority is catch basins.
And when does he normally start catch basin work?
In early April,
Yeah. Okay.
depending on weather.
Yeah. Thank you.
Article 5, the operating budget. Again, if you're interested in seeing all the detail of the operating budget, please come to advisory's meeting on Tuesday, where they'll be going through the changes and their final assessment to put forward.
so
Just
everything is final except the final number.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is, it'll look the same other than the,
We know the
Oh,
top
no.
number, the 34.9.
okay.
Just a quick question, because I'm not totally up to speed, but the school number is final.
The school number is final, and we'd even received our invoice today for fiscal 27 assessments.
Okay.
Anything else on Article 5? Article 6?
Article 6 is the modification of the existing Parks and Rec revolving fund and the modification of a fund so that they have segregated money, segregated spaces for field and park usage, as well as then a segregated bucket for programming revenues. The notable changes on this are that there is a second signatory similar to the ALS, and to reassure any entities that would be paying the field usage fees that yes, these monies are segregated. They will be applied to field and park improvements.
Great. Any questions?
I just wanted to know, I think at least on the screen share that I'm seeing, we haven't scrolled down to the relevant part of this section. But I mean, we have our packet, but just in case anybody was following along on the screen. Thanks.
Next article is setting our limits for revolving funds.
Okay, any changes from last year, or these are the same?
There is the caveat if Article 6 does not pass, of setting the limit for the existing Park and Recreation revolving fund at 25K. Their existing revolving is focused exclusively on fields and park usage, not program fees.
Gotcha. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Article 8.
Article 8 is aligning our practice with the advisory policies, maintaining the stabilization fund balance at 5% of the operating budget. In effect, this transfer of $427,000 is taking some of our certified free cash and putting it into our savings fund. We are not paying it back. We are just meeting our policies.
So this means Bob will be able to have a green check mark in his presentation, right?
Yes, yes.
Great.
Can I interrupt for 1 sec? Just to answer Kate's last question, because it is confusing because of the 2 articles with the revolving fund, but there was a request from Parks and Rec to increase their existing revolving fund, which was set last year at 80 to 100. So there is a change, but it's in the prior article.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, anything on Article 8? Okay. Article 9.
Article 9 is the first transfer to the Capital Stabilization Fund that was formed at last year's annual town meeting. It is taking a portion of certified free cash, $579, to supplement as a supplemental funding source for our capital needs.
And just on both this article and the last one, are these numbers final, or might they change based on snow and ice?
Should all of the transfers go through as proposed for a town meeting, I don't believe that these 2 articles would shift in dollar amounts. So 98% final, past that.
Great. Yeah, I think it's great to see that that the capital stabilization is going to be funded so significantly in the first year. I think this really checks a box that was really important in terms of long-term planning for the town. So I think that's great. Anything else on Article 9? All right. Article 10, we're getting into the planning board and zoning articles.
And this is the moment when I would be turning to Brian.
Sure, and I've just started a review of these. I got them recently, but I will provide a more thorough review in advance of the board's next meeting. This first article is just adding some additional uses in the table of uses to expand some business, limited business and industrial uses. And making some changes to the permissions for some existing use categories.
All right. Can we scroll through a little bit just so people can see the highlighted and bolded changes? So I think overall this is consistent with the town's goals of economic development in ways that are consistent with the town character, and maybe making more use of the industrial zone and the business zones. Any questions from the board? Okay,
Right, moving ahead, Article 11, make some changes, some technical changes to the zoning bylaws driveway regulations. Really, like the last article, this article, it's really, policy questions that the planning board and town planner have looked at in terms of things they want to see done differently based upon projects that have come before the board.
all right. Well, if anybody has questions, just jump in. Otherwise, Brian, feel free to just go through.
Yep. Article 12 makes a technical change that's required by law to our major residential development bylaw, and the change is no longer being special permit requirement for subdivision approvals for certain uses. There was a case that came out a number of years ago that said if you're entitled to subdivision approval, you can't be required to get a special permit as a prerequisite. And this has to do with inclusionary housing. So this just aligns the bylaw with state law. We wouldn't be able to enforce this anyway. So that helps clear things up in terms of what the bylaw says. It's aligned with state law.
Great.
Article 13 modifies the inclusionary housing provision, changing from select board to planning board, which is the special permit granting authority that reviews local preference requirements for inclusionary housing. And we've made a couple of changes over the last few years, shifting some things that the select board had done under the zoning, which is in most other places typically done by a planning board, and sort of helps reduce the number of places that an applicant has to go in town hall. And then Article 14, I can speak to as well. This is the final step in the Keys Farm Moderator Way project. The town, typically we accept the public way and then acquire the real estate interest underlying the public way after town meeting. In this case, the town has already acquired the easement for right-of-way purposes in Moderator Way, but this is the final step of accepting Moderator Way as a public way.
Okay, great. Thanks for walking us through those.
Yep.
Article 15, there will be a change of, this would become a 2/3 as it would be banned, bond anticipation note. This is for commencing the engineering for the repair, the replacement of the drinking water well that serves the public safety building and the library. The 125,000 lets us begin the design and engineering for the final solution or disinfection approach. What we're hoping is that the actual construction cost would be offset by a federal earmark. Should that not be possible, the construction cost would be financed through the state revolving fund. In order to be safe, we would propose that this be go through as if it were going to be deaded, so through a ban.
Okay.
Article 16 is last year's request for the equipment at the public safety building, which is $7,091. This had been submitted earlier, had been deferred last year. The equipment will no longer be supported as of December of 26. Article 17, transfer station cameras, includes both the equipment of 4 cameras, the installation and the internet, as well as the year 1 of service.
Marie, just a quick comment. This is more going to like the types of questions we might want to be prepared to answer. I know that the summary of this article talks about how it's the only town facility currently without video monitoring. If there's a way to get even just a rough sense of the number of cameras at some of our other town sites and what the installation cost was for that, because I just think people might see $33,000 for 4 cameras and want to know like whether that's reasonable or not. So I don't want to create a ton of homework, but it just strikes me as the type of thing that somebody might ask about at town meeting.
It's both the cameras as well as the internet connectivity.
Yep.
So, but okay. Article 18, tiny typo. We want it to be to paint, not to paint the DPW. But it's the request to paint the exterior. $46,500. The quote has been confirmed and updated. Article 19 and 20 are for Florence Sawyer and Emerson doors. In total, the $56,000, $256,700. They are not secure. They're very old. And this would be inclusive of the door frame, the door jamb, as well as protective post-install coating being applied, protective film.
Sorry, and just for the sake of clarity, this is for all exterior doors.
Exterior doors,
Got it.
yes.
And Marie, has the switches been pushed?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Article 21, wastewater treatment facility. If you recall last year at town meeting, there was this consolidation of unexpended articles to offset some funds required for upgrading our wastewater treatment facility. This is taking the total cost that would be required, confirming with DEP that we don't have to replace things before, in effect, their end of life, and budgeting what is $59,438 for fiscal 27 replacements.
If I remember correctly, I think the number to do all of it at once was something like $255,000. So this is kind of spreading it out and phasing it, which certainly is a lot less painful.
Yes.
Okay, Article 22.
Article 22 is for the fire ponds for $20,000. You may have seen this in the raise and appropriate budget. The fire department maintains the fire suppression sources. This basically doesn't put them under the abject deadline of expending the money all in one fiscal year. It would have a 3-year life. Likewise, any monies not spent would roll back to their funding source, the Capital Stabilization Fund. So it's come out of the operating into a standalone.
So this is going to be the new default procedure for this appropriation going forward.
Yes.
That makes sense.
It's sort of a use it or lose it, right? If it's not spent in 3 years, it goes back. Okay,
Artic-
23.
Article 23 is starting on the path of highway improvements, of setting aside additional monies to supplement our Chapter 90 paving funds. The DPW director has stated that these monies would be used to pave, and now I'm going to mangle the name, Marinot Road. Which is ranked left, I guess, dead last in terms of our pavement condition report. It's about it's 0.13 miles long.
Is that a dead end road?
Yes,
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
It is right after Nashaway off of Still River, if you're heading north.
Okay, any other questions on that? 24?
It looks like the text of that one of 24 is a little off. Right, it looks like that's just an accidental repeat of the wastewater treatments. Yeah.
I'm looking at a. Oh, I see what
The
you're saying.
second-
Yes, yes, yes,
second and
yes. I
third
see
lines.
exactly what you're saying. Yeah. So focused on the summary. The Conservation Commission is applying for 2 grants to cover the cost. Similar to other articles, this had been on the capital plan for last year and was not advanced due to our financial situation.
Sorry, Marie, to cut you off, but what is the number? Because we're just seeing the $75,000, but I'm assuming it's not that.
It
The
is
number is actually the same. It's just because it was the same, I used copy and paste and forgot to change the language. So it'll probably get changed to for repair of the earthen dam at Bower Brook.
Okay, but it's still 75.
It's
Okay.
75,000. There are 2 grants out. The earliest that we would know would be the beginning of June.
And what would the grants cover?
One of them would cover, I want to say 90%. The other is, I want to say a wild and scenic. I'd have to double check, which is 5K.
Oh, okay.
But again, this would be coming out of capital stabilization, so if it's not used.
Not used, it goes back to capital stabilization.
Okay, Article 25.
Article 25 is the large vehicle being replaced. Article 25 and 26, like some of the other articles, had been proposed earlier on the capital plan and not advanced. This is replacing one of our oldest.
I'm sorry, Marie. Could everybody who's not talking, please make sure you're muted?
I don't know how to.
Jenny, maybe you can help out.
I'm gonna have to stop sharing so I could see whose mic is on.
Thanks,
Great.
Jenny.
Yep.
Sorry about that, Marie.
No. So the first article would be the replacement of the International with a heavy-duty vehicle. This would also have some of the insurance monies applied. Actually, all of the insurance monies applied from the fire of a DPW vehicle. For Article 25 and Article 26, both items have very long lead times, approximately 18 months. What the DPW director is seeking is the authorization so that he can place the order.
Alrighty, any questions on that? 26.
26, very similar on the capital plan, not advanced for 2 years. With the exception of there are no other additional insurance monies to apply to offset.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's two large pieces of equipment, but they've been deferred for so long, and I think we all certainly know that we need the equipment, so. All right, Article 27.
Article 27 would be the town meeting voting to allow you as the board to accept easements at no cost where it's required for infrastructure or similar municipal permitting. To use an example, there's easement documentation being drafted for some properties that will enable us to move forward with the culvert on Forbush. Rather than wait, because the documents are not ready now for a whole nother year for town meeting, should the town meeting agree to grant the board the authorization, then that can just occur.
I just wanted to throw in, this is a handy article to include on warrants. Some towns do it, some towns don't, but this happens from time to time. A utility will announce, oh, we'll need easement to be able to connect you. And it does technically require town meeting approval, and we're sort of stuck with having to grant an easement and wait for the fall or wait till next spring. So this is really handy to have, to be able to be nimble as these things do come up during the year.
I think that makes good sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Article 28.
Article 28 is acceptance of section 33B, so that on-premises consumption, licensees for on-premises consumption can begin serving alcohol at 10 to noon. Think Sunday brunch.
I just wanted to throw in, this is an authorization to the select board as licensing authority to allow these expanded hours. The board still retains full authority as licensing authority, but without this local option, even if it wanted to, it wouldn't be able to allow someone to serve outside the current hours.
My only question about this one was, is it being brought in response to like an expressed desire for a license at this time, or is just proactively giving us this ability if we want it in the future?
This is the proactive looking ahead to behavior that typifies the amazing Jenny.
Great. Jenny's planning to open a restaurant that's mimosas.
Brunch only, it'll be called, yeah.
Well, I think with all the restaurants we've had opening up, I think that's a good option for us to have.
Yes.
All right. Article 29.
Authorization of the town election.
All right. So before we wrap up our discussion, does anybody else have any questions, either for town council or for the moderator?
I just have a request, which is I think our meeting 2 weeks from tonight is going to be the meeting. It's kind of like our last meeting to actually vote and approve things. I know we will often do like an all eyes on the document read through in advance just to look for any last minute typos and stuff. So my request would be if we could just send that out, ideally like a few days before that Thursday meeting, just to give enough time to read through. That would be great.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I think we're in pretty good shape on the warrant.
All right,
Okay,
thanks. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
good night. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, next item is request for a license from Bolton Spring Farm. I don't see anybody from Bolton Spring. Jenny, are we expecting anybody to come tonight? Okay, so on the agenda, there was a request for multiple one-day liquor and entertainment licenses, but not everything is in order, so it is a more limited request. Which is just for a one-day liquor license for Bolton Spring Farms at 160 Main Street for an event called Blossoms and Bubbly on May 9th, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. With a notation, thank you, Jenny, that the food truck and the bar truck will actually be parked across the street from the farm store, so it will be located on 159 Main Street.
Actually, the reverse. The
Oh,
farm store is at 159. But the license is 160. The agenda had listed the address of Bolton Spring Farm, but the food truck's going to be parked at 160 across the street.
okay, thanks for the clarification.
Mhm.
So that is the only thing that is ready to be reviewed and acted on tonight. But we are also still waiting on a certificate of insurance naming the town of Bolton as the certificate holder. So if I'm not mistaken, because I think I saw this event listed on Facebook, it is a chance to walk through the apple blossoms at their height. Any questions or discussion from the board?
Just wanted to make sure I was following all the documentation that came in about this. So with the exception of the certificate of insurance that includes the town of Bolton as an insured, we do have everything we need for this May 9th event.
For the May 9th event, the fee is still due and the insurance certificate is still due.
Okay, so it would be approval contingent upon receipt of the fee and the insurance certificate?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve a one-day liquor license for the event that Bolton Spring Farm is hosting on May 9th.
I second that.
Did you want to make that contingent on the receipt of the fee and receipt of the insurance certificate?
Yes.
I second that.
Okay, roll call, Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. All right. Next up is the International Golf Club at 159 Ballville Road to review an application for a special permit to construct 7 guest cottages in 2 phases, and also to review the jurisdictional authority of the special permit application. Marie, do you want to walk us through this one?
And I believe we have Kathy from the International here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize Kathy was here for the International.
I believe so.
I don't think so.
No? Ah,
Okay. All right. So it's on
All
you.
right.
Marie.
all right. Due to the zoning bylaw, the select board is the permit granting authority for the application in front of you tonight. What the International is proposing is they'd come to a meeting with Pam, myself, and other members was for construction of 3 buildings in the first phase, each building or cottage containing 4 bedrooms, total of 12 bedrooms. The select board tonight has a permitting jurisdictional choice where you're eligible, sorry, I'm like running out of caffeine, to proceed with review of the application, or in effect to assign the jurisdiction of the special permit review to the planning board. So that's your first decision for the evening. You can choose to conduct the public hearing with the abutter notification. And there's a question.
Point of order. This is Mark Junto of Fox Run Road. Screen reads Kathy Junto. I'm using her laptop.
Okay, go ahead.
Not to belabor the point, I was a member of the planning board at the point when the International was rezoned to do the additional 18-hole golf course known as the Oaks, and the 38 home sites that it is the Oaks development. And that action was a subject of a town meeting vote, and it was my understanding at that point that their action for this was would require a 2/3 majority vote at town meeting for any residential component, with the planning board being the permit granting authority. Unfortunately, I'm on vacation in Arizona. I don't have access to my files or the file in town hall, but I'm sure that there's been a review done of this for that purpose. And
Well,
Lodging.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a residential
Lodging.
development. This is lodging, like along the order of a hotels or, short-term rental for their members. So it's not, not a residential development.
okay, I misspoke, not residential, but anything other than, I believe, the two things that was extended discussion at town meeting, that zoning it for the purposes of a golf course only would reek of spot zoning. And I believe it was Chris Slade that got up and made a comment to the effect that I won't go into the details of it, but there was another component said that it could either be a golf course or an equestrian park. But those were the only two allowed uses under that zoning change that was approved at town meeting. So this may or may not be allowed under special permit. But I certainly believe that it goes contrary to the spirit and intent of that zoning article.
Okay, thank you for the comment. I appreciate that. So our issue tonight is to determine the first question is whether this is something the select board would want to review, or whether we want to delegate the authority to the planning board. As we've done previously with both Neshoba Regional High School and also the business park at 580 Main. Any discussion from the board? Any thoughts?
I think it makes the most sense to delegate authority to the planning board on this issue.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think it's having them come before us where, first of all, we don't have the expertise. And secondly, it's another step, just another a hoop to jump through, when I think it's probably more streamlined and more efficient for them to just go to the planning board. So any other discussion on it? Is there a motion to assign jurisdiction of the special permit application from the international to the planning board?
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call. Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
I'm a yes.
I am also a yes. Okay. Moving along, the next item, we're significantly early for it, but I will take any public comments that anybody has right now.
Thank you for your time and attention this evening. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Enjoy the rest of your vacation. It looks lovely there.
It's getting a little bit warm, but 96 today. So,
Wow.
That's
all
pushing
righty.
it.
Yes, it is.
Have
Have
a
a good
good
evening,
night.
folks.
Thanks, Mark. Enjoy.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Okay, I do not see any public comments. I will try to remember to call again for it at 8:30, which is the scheduled time. So moving along to the town administrator report.
I also just wanted to say that this would be, for the international, it's an accessory use to the golf course for a bylaw and would be permissible for a special permit. Short overview, there's no change in Alton Neshoba. They're proceeding along on schedule. There had been some discussion for the warrant article regarding the disinfection for the water supply serving the public safety building and the library. The temporary disinfection install is in process, materials are received, and the DPW director expects the contractor will be on site on Monday. There had also been a bit of a scramble in the past week. We had been selected as one of 20 projects that Congresswoman Trahan can advance through the community project funding, in effect, similar to a federal earmark. For that project, we'd had subsequent meetings with Ty and Bond to ascertain the total dollar amount. The project itself, sort of worst case, would end up being $1.6 million. The 125,000 article, which we discussed in the town meeting review earlier, has been placed on the warrant. And we will be pursuing additional funding if the federal earmark or, community project funding is not available. The DPW director has been seeking grants for the Forbush culvert, which the most recent estimate had an estimated cost of $2 million. And as mentioned in the context of the easement article, council is drafting easement language so that that project can move ahead. There has been movement on our special act alcohol and reported favorably by the committee, and it will be placed on the docket. Our appreciation to Senator Kennedy and Representative Hogan. There has been no action on the DCAM land. And likewise, I wanted to publicly thank our elected representatives who likewise have had to scramble to generate letters of support for both the federal earmark and the Forbush culvert. No change at present, too early to pave regarding the roundabout. The school's portion of the sidewalk has not been forgotten, and they will be confirming spot grades again as soon as the weather is a little bit better. Reimbursement claims were submitted for the library boiler. This was split between $10K for our property and $8.2K for the equipment. Under staffing and operations, we still have an open full-time patrol officer posting. Monday is the deadline for receiving non-binding requests for quotes, as we've been sort of doing some preliminary investigation of comparable pricing for 7,000 square feet of office space. This is not a formal proposal, but in effect doing our due diligence so that we can better inform the select board. And we are hopeful of receiving responses. During this past week, there was an in-house lunch and learn for using Microsoft 365. and it was led by the conservation agent. And we're likewise awaiting Civic Plus's confirmation as to what our go live date is for the new website. In this interim, individuals are both updating the new website, well, updating the existing website and updating the new website. So this duality is a little maddening. People may have heard from their colleagues either in Lancaster or Harvard that the community choice aggregation rate or cost is going up. That is not affecting us. It is the one silver lining to the many months of waiting for the Department of Public Utilities approval. So again, we maintain our rates locked through the end of December 2027. In tandem, after going through the expenses and operating budget for fiscal 26 and 27, I'm commencing investigation of our municipal rates for electricity contracting, as our existing contract ends at the end of 26. We're also able to move on to the community choice, though, if need be. There's been no feedback regarding the draft intermunicipal agreement for the wastewater treatment fund operations and maintenance. Of the thing that I'd sent to the board under separate cover is that the 20-year lease to the district expires. And I've also been selected as the town administrator rep on the district's negotiating team with the Educators Association. Brief update on committee-related advisory had looked at the Minuteman budget, which and had minimal questions, especially since the overall assessment has decreased from fiscal 26. And again, mark your calendars for the review of warrant articles and ideally some resolution on how we're going to address what is in effect our largest snow and ice budget. Park and Rec had voted fees, which I detailed on the screen. And at this point, then all departments have reviewed and either recommended or made changes to their fees in conformance with the financial policies. And the Transfer Station Committee will be meeting at the end of the month at Houghton. Town Clerk states last day to file nomination papers is the 23rd. Also would want me to remind all of you that dog licenses are due by the end of the month. Taking it from federal to state to local, I continue to monitor regarding the passage or potential likelihood of passage of the Save American Act, because that would have implications both for the local election administration, it have implications for local election administration, but also in terms of day-to-day, as several things which currently occur online would be required to be performed in person. At the state, there will be a local aid hearing on March 23rd. Our local aid, though, as shown in the graphs below, is very, very small. But the state will also be addressing at their budget hearing potential changes in Chapter 70. Chapter 70 would aid the district, and ideally, if the Chapter 70 goes up, then our district assessment can drop. I'd provided the board the notification of our Chapter 90, it's a lot of chapters, apportionment, which is for our roads. It looks like a very sizable sum. Just as a point of reference, that twice that amount, almost 847,000 of our Chapter 90 for our local roads was put towards the roundabout project. So we're a little bit behind, which is painful. And I'm continuing to follow up regarding the release of the $100,000 earmark. And tomorrow I'll be attending a legislative breakfast in Clinton. At the local level, excluding recent salt deliveries, so this number may change, our snow and ice deficit is the largest it has ever been. It's predominantly due to the frequency and the duration of the storms. And unfortunately, also a lot of the storms have been starting on Sunday. We typically end up with a deficit of about $220,000, which is covered by turnbacks. We don't know that we could cover that amount. And additionally, it's unlikely that some accounts which had been a source of turnbacks would be available, looking at the town buildings account based on town building repairs. Fiscal 27. Our operating budget revenues have just a few visual shifts that you can see from 25 to 26 to 27. If you're able to see the very thin green line there, that is our state aid. You'll notice the difference between 25 and 26 for the excluded debt, which reflects two things, one of them being the slight drop in our excluded debt, as well as the increasing impact of the school bonding tranche. The drop in local receipts, again, if people are saying, well, why is the purple much larger in 25? Is because the increase in local receipts was due to both Alta Neshoba for building, plumbing, and electrical permits, and due to the high school permits. Trying to look graphically at our operating expenses. Our operating expenses have been relatively consistent. The largest increase, and you're saying, well, why is general government going up? The largest increase had been because the town buildings maintenance is likewise in that bucket. And this year, that line item, or what we're proposing for fiscal 27, that line item will be going up about 46,000. The other notable increases are predominantly building driven as we look at our increased electricity cost. Or increased, but it's more increased electricity utilization. And that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Marie. That's a lot. Any questions for Marie? Okay, and the other item under town administrator report is 2 letters of support for the one is for the potential federal earmark from Congresswoman Trahan, which would help with the permanent disinfection solution at the public water supply. Because it was a super tight timeline prior to this meeting for us to get a letter of support in. I did submit, which is in the packet, a letter of support on behalf of the select board. And the other one is a draft letter to the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs to in support of the Fort Bush Mill Road Culvert Replacement Project. So is there any discussion about those 2 letters of support?
Thanks for sending them and thanks for including them in the packet.
Well, the second one has not been signed or sent yet and is still in draft form. So if everybody's in agreement, is there a motion to approve the 2 letters?
So moved.
I second that.
Okay, roll call. Brian,
Yes.
Bill.
I'm a yes.
Okay, and I am also a yes. So great. Thank you very much, Marie. Before we move on to select board business, I do just want to let folks know, because I see a couple of people have joined the meeting. First of all, I see Laurie Stevenson. We actually already did our agenda item on the entertainment, the one-day liquor license. And you were approved for the 1 day, subject to submitting the required fee and the insurance certificate.
Okay,
So-
thank you very much.
So you're all set. Thanks.
Thank you.
And also, I think there might be a couple of folks here on the international. We also got to that agenda item early. And we have delegated the special permit review to the planning board. So if you are here on that item, we have already covered that. Let's see, our next item is select board business. So are there any public service announcements?
I have one. The Bolton Conservation Trust is having a hike or a walk on March 22nd at Tower Field. Information can be found on the Bolton Conservation Trust website.
Great, thank you. And I have one, which is, I think it was at our last meeting, Parks and Rec mentioned that they are hosting a Puzzle Palooza on March 27th. It's a competition to see which team can put their puzzle together the fastest. I think it starts at 6:30. And I think it's at Sawyer Cafeteria. And the entire select board will be there as a team, puzzling until our puzzlers are sore. So we hope to see lots of you there. Any other public service announcements? Does anybody have a select board report to offer?
May I just ask one question, please?
Sure, go ahead, Lori.
We had 5 events total that we were looking to have approved. We're just waiting for the COIs to come forward, which is like what we did last year. Did you cover them, or do we need to refile those?
Lori, did you get the email that I sent today? Because I've only received one application yet.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I sent you an email with a few different options to either submit to have me revise the existing application or to submit a new one for the remaining events. So we're just going to bump those to the next meeting to give you time to get those applications in.
Okay, that's fine. No worries. I was just checking.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Lori. Okay, any select board reports? No. Okay, any requested future agenda items? All right. Is there a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants W26-18?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. And the last thing on our regular agenda is a review of minutes. We have 2. The first of which is January 22nd with changes.
That's it.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve minutes from January 22nd. moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. And the second set is February 5th with no changes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve minutes from February 5th.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Before we enter into an executive session, as I mentioned earlier, since we are running early, I'm going to give a second opportunity for public comment. So if anybody has a public comment, go ahead and raise your hand. I am not seeing anyone. So is there a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to conduct strategy in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, the police chief, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Brian,
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
I am also a yes, and we will be returning to open session to vote and ratify and authorize the town administrator to execute the contract between the town of Bolton and Police Chief Donald Murphy. The time for the record is 8:12.